Hello everyone. Thank you for clicking on the video. Hopefully everyone's doing well. I first I want to thank you for clicking on the video, as I said. Um, I want to introduce myself. I've been asked to create this video, tell my story. So I'm going to give it a shot here. And as you see, I've created a little diagram to go into my story to help people understand a little bit of the details. Excuse my artwork here. I'm an artist and it really pains me to not be able to go into detail, but it is what it is. And hopefully this gives people a little bit of an idea. Now, I can't get into everything as far as the past 16 years dealing with a narcissistic, sociopathic, insidious stalker. Um, as I said, just to give you a little bit of who I am, I do identify as a chosen one. I've learned to accept my purpose, and I'm learning to navigate this purpose a little better as I go along and as I'm learning about myself and other people and my situations. And I'm in a good place, to be honest with you, but still dealing with the situation with a stalker. But I'm just going to try to get into the story without being able to get to everything after 16 years of this. I'm going to try to get to the bullet points to kind of give you an idea. I'm dealing with a person who weaponizes society in order to try and control me, very competitive, using society to create delays, to stop me, even trying to employ people to unalive me. So hopefully this helps people understand. I know there's quite a few people who have been, who have questions, and I really didn't want to get into all of this over and over, because this is what a narcissist's intentions are: to keep you hostage to what they're continuously creating. This is how they keep, this is how they remain relevant, using the people around you, not only to try and control you. A lot of excuses are made, and also this is how they try to steal your joy, your purpose. I believe the narcissist knows exactly who I am, which is why he distorts everything in order to take you away from who you are. But not only that, they're gaining a lot and using myself as a resource. And it's a bit much. It's a little, overkill, but it's what narcissists do. If you are familiar with the narcissism dynamics, all victims or targets, let's say, of a narcissist kind of experience a lot of the same tactics, a lot of the same excuses. And they will use the people around you if they cannot control you directly. Family, friends, co-workers, neighbors, the mailman, you name it, even authorities, if they can find a way to use everyone around you who has some sort of power, or let's say, for example, maybe a supervisor who it trickles down to the co-workers. So anyway, I'm going to try to just get into this. So I have to start a little early in age in order for it to all come together, due to the fact that narcissists use your childhood traumas to weaken you in order to remind you of any struggles in your life, keep you in a low vibrational state in order to compromise your current healing. So I want to start here, right here in the beginning, my childhood home, where from age of 4 to 11, I experienced essay assaults by my mother's husband, who was supposed to be my stepfather. From the age of 4 to 11, as I said, being a survivor of childhood SA dynamics, I would experience things like being dragged out of bed while my mother was sleeping. Things like finding all the women's underwears hidden in the basement in a guitar case, where this in-home predator, let's just say, I can't use the actual word due to YouTube's criterias, but this is a person who would make holes in the walls. Back then we didn't have cell phones or too many ways to surveillance and invasion of privacy, so he would make holes in the walls to watch you shower. And I remember an incident where, now this is the first narcissist I experienced in my life, where my mother would come to myself and sisters and would say, these were my older sisters, where one of the sisters was too young to understand everything that was going on, but my mother would come to me and tell me things like, oh, your father is making holes in the wall from one room to the bathroom, possibly to watch people take a shower. And I remember saying to myself, what's wrong with this picture? Where are the adults in the room? Because as a mother, if you know that a man is creating holes in the walls to watch the females take a shower, why would you not take action to correct this? And it was just where my mother was just warning the females. And it was very distorted. Now his excuse was, to give you an idea what narcissists do, is they make excuses as to why they're doing what they're doing. And if you are not a critical thinker, you'll fall trapped to a lot of these narcissists getting away with a lot of these dynamics. So his excuse was he was putting wires from the bedroom into the bathroom in order to put music in the bathroom. So he was making holes from one room to the other to feed the wires through. But I remember the night before, we were all sitting and watching a movie, and this narcissistic stepfather, we were watching a movie, and it was a high school type of setting where the guys were making holes in the walls to watch the girls in the locker room showering after gym. So the next day he was doing the same thing. And I'm one that since I was young, I've always put two and two together, and the universe speaks to me and gives me answers fairly quickly. So that situation boiled into nothing, where at the same time I was being essayed from age 4 to 11, just to give you an idea. Being dragged out of bed, my mother sleeping. And a lot of times closer to the end of experiencing this, I really felt like my mother knew something and just was in this deep denial. So within this time, if I can give you, this may be a little detailed, and if you are disturbed by certain things involving things that are done to children, I'm not going to go into try to put this in a way where it sits well, but there were times when I tried to sleep next to my mother so he doesn't drag me out of bed to do things to me, so I wanted to feel safe. And he was downstairs watching TV, and I tried to sleep next to my mother, and he would come up to have interactions with my mother in that way. And while he was doing this with my mother and I was sleeping on the long side of her, he would try to touch me at the same time. And my mother not doing anything about this. So I would have to roll out of bed and run into my room and put the sheets over my head. So within this time here, from age 4 to 11, by the time I was 11 years old, I winded up pregnant due to these assaults. My belly grew. I was in the 6th grade. I was teased by the other children in school, and they would call me names and laugh at me and wondering why I look the way I look because my belly had gotten so big. Finally, I went into labor, and 3 days went by with this pain, not knowing what's happening to me. I was so young, still playing with Barbie dolls. And by the 3rd day, I was actually overdue when my mother took me to St. Christopher's Hospital. And the nurse there said, your daughter isn't experiencing stomach aches. She's actually pregnant. So my mother, in a way, looked surprised, but at the same time didn't. It was this deep denial that she was going through. So I remember I had to go to the bathroom before the nurse and the doctor saw me, and I almost had the baby in the toilet because I was already crowning. And they rushed me to Temple University Hospital where I delivered. So a few days later, I find myself in an office with a few men in white lab coats and a counselor, my mother, and myself. And little did I know that that day I was signing paperwork and didn't understand what I was signing, didn't understand what adoption was. So what my mother was doing was giving up my son for adoption. And I never saw him again after that. I did get a chance where I got to go to NICU and see my son. And at one point after giving birth, the nurse was going to put my son on my chest, not knowing. And another nurse told her, you can't do that because the baby was being given up for adoption. So after that, I went home without my child and still trying to process all of this. My mother threw out her husband for about 2 weeks. He lived in a van outside of the home. But in this time, she was still feeding him. I'm checking my phone. She was still feeding him, running a line for heating from the house to the van he was living in. I would say about 2 weeks, he was back in the house. This was a very controlling person who told my mom many lies and stories. Me being 11 years old, told my mom that I pulled down my own underwear and made so many excuses to blame, shift, or to get pity and false fake tears. And after that, my mother was very mindful as to where he went in the house. And I remember, there's times he's sitting there with glasses on and he's always watching and controlling things. And I pretty much stayed in my room, just creating artwork and detaching from all of this. And at this time, I believe a lot of family members knew, where uncles would ask my mom, what would you like us to do? Would you like us to take care of this? And from what I remember, she said no, but yet no one in the family asked me what I wanted, what I needed. Am I safe? or contacted the police or did anything to safeguard me. So fast forward, my son was given up for adoption, fast forward, and I spent a lot of time thinking about, where is this child? Where is my son? And as I grew, I would look at other mothers walking with their sons, and I would go deep in thought and hoping that my son was okay. It was supposed to be a closed adoption, and I'll get into why I'm saying that in a minute. So you fast forward, and years go by, and I had to live in the same house with this narcissist, with this predator. And I pretty much stayed to myself and would just escape to certain areas of the house by myself. And this narcissist still trying to control everything, and my mother acting as though nothing happened, and the narcissist acting as though nothing happened. So fast forward a few years, and now we're in 1985. I'm in junior high school. This is where I met my future husband. And I have to say this part because it is connected to the rest of this here. So in 85, in school, this is where I met my future husband at 15. And then I also met the stalker that I'm dealing with today. This is a totally different person, obviously. So at that time, the narcissist stalker of today was dating my stepsister. No blood relation, but we were raised together. The stepsister, who was the daughter of the narcissist that I grew up with. She was my stepsister and the daughter of the narcissist who essayed me from the age of 4 to the age of 11. So here, the stalker, I would hang out with the stalker, my stepsister, and a friend. We'll call her Tracy. And I noticed, whether we were on the playground many times, hanging out, the stalker, the narcissist, never truly attended class, but he would show up for recess. And this is where he and my stepsister would make out. They would sneak off to make out and things of that sort. So he wasn't very nice, but being young, I didn't know what to make of it back then. You don't know too much about narcissism or what it even means, or even know the word. So I remember where he would try and push me out of the group, or just wasn't very nice to me, but nice to everybody else. A little bit of a bully, but you really couldn't put your finger on it. It wasn't too bad, but you can just feel this shady moving, So fast forward, we're here. 1998. I had winded up dating my future husband here in 1985. For 2 years, we were the best of friends, and then we winded up dating and made it clear that we were together. And then fast forward to 1998. And by then we were in an apartment. Actually, no, we were in a home, and my daughter was born in 1998. So from 1998 to 2010 is where we lived in this home. So here, happy, peaceful, not a complaint. I was married to a very peaceful man, and best friend, I felt at home, comfortable. This is where I was learning to trust men again. And I can't really say that I've had any bad memories here at this point. So fast forward to here. We moved in 2025 to 2011. Actually, 2005, excuse me, to 2011. Okay, there's a discrepancy here. So here to 2010. Okay, so I've corrected it. So it was till 2005. Here, 2000, we moved into another home. And it wasn't too far from this home, but we moved from 2005 to 2011. This is when I had Narcopath contact right here in 2011. So at this time, he contacted me, the narcissist contacted me on Facebook with an alias. I didn't recognize it, but once he explained who he was which was the childhood friend here. I accepted his friending on Facebook, and we talked, I would say, for maybe about a year. And conversations were about school and who's doing what today and reminiscing. You know, we were all into the arts in school. And at this time, at first I didn't realize he was married. And at this time, I was still with my husband. So I do admit the conversations went where they shouldn't have gone briefly. And I realized it didn't feel right. It was wrong, and I tried to correct it. So at this point, after some time within that year, I was experiencing a little bit of a fogginess, as though some conversations were like spaghetti in your head, or just these strange feelings or strange, it's hard to explain, but I'll get further into that as we go along. But he became controlling within this time. Why are you talking to that guy? Why did you say hi to that guy on Facebook? And why are you talking to this guy? And I realized that at one point he was very bothered by me saying hello to another friend who we were on each other's Facebook due to networking with art. No interest in this person, but he had this European phenotype, African American, and very, he's a handsome guy, yes, but I had no interest. He had a small, thin nose, and I noticed within that time that the narcissist was very bothered by something. And narcissists will reveal to you what bothers them in this indirect way. And he started talking about having a nose job, and why am I saying hi to that guy? And even with women, just wanting to micromanage every move I make, paying attention to my pictures, the background, what's in the background. If I went on vacation with the family, they would call and sound annoyed. And at that time, you know, he really made me feel like sorry for him. And I realized that maybe I showed a little too much compassion and care, and that's who I am. as a chosen one, and I've learned how to navigate that better today. But we winded up having a fallout. A year goes by and he contacts me again. He sends a text that he wanted to talk to me. I didn't answer. I didn't answer because he would call me at 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning. And he noticed, I'll show proof of that later in text, but I realized that this wasn't healthy, that this was not going to go well. So, and that's exactly what happened, as you see here. So at this time, we had a fallout, and I started to experience a lot of strange things. And at first, I was trying to put the pieces together and didn't get exactly what was going on, but a lot of illusions and gaslighting. And because I didn't contact him back, he started stalking. So at this time, he didn't know who to recruit. A narcissist has no power unless they have that created wolf pack in the background who helps him run this systematic gang stalking. So at this time, I started to experience strange things with family, neighbors, the mailman, people stealing my mail, my daughter's friends being recruited she was in a Christian private school at that time. I started experiencing a lot of viruses on my computer with a lot of porn. And excuse me, I probably wasn't supposed to use that word, but hopefully YouTube understands, with a lot of porn, and my phone being compromised. There was a time when he contacted the Christian school, the pastors and the nuns, and lied and told them that my daughter was pregnant at 15. Some of my daughter's friends were recruited to gaslight her, bully her in school. It was embarrassing for my daughter. You know, she never been with a guy, and at that time she didn't have a boyfriend. Still at this age, my daughter is very reserved and just doesn't have too many relationships with, can't remember the last time that she dated anyone. She's kind of like a bookworm, but at the same time, loving and popular to the point where it's a beautiful girl, but she does not accept, dates or too many relationships. She pretty much just has guy friends until she finds someone that she really wants to open up to. After realizing all this that I've experienced, she's kind of reserved and a little more careful. So again, the viruses, my phone being compromised, my daughter's friends being recruited, and kind of to give you an idea how I believe family was involved, is that I started experiencing a lot of strange things around my home. Let me give you an example. A narcissist is a psychological, emotional abuser. They tend to try to get into your head, and it's very insidious, as though I don't even think he has to premeditate things. It comes to him fairly quickly, I've learned. But let me give you an example. There was one night, it was snowing very heavy, and I wake up early in the morning. I look outside, getting ready to shovel, and there are footprints from my doorstep down the steps a little further down, halfway up the block, and these footsteps led into the wall. So it went from my home, leading down the steps in the sidewalk closer to my home, and these footprints led into the wall. Now, that is supposed to psychologically mess with your head. And someone really went out of their way at those very early morning hours, anywhere from 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, to do this. Then summers would go by, and I would sit outside on the steps. And this maybe about 2 summers where I would sit outside late if I couldn't sleep and just enjoy the weather and listen to music. And I would hear a baby crying, and there was no one around. 2 o'clock in the morning, just staring at the stars, listening to music, and there was a sound of baby crying. And I'm walking around everywhere looking for this baby crying and couldn't find where it was coming from. This is what I mean by psychological abuse. Now, to get into that, a narcissist, well, this particular narcissist studies mind control, MK Ultra type of mind control, psychologically breaking you down, confusing you, trying to scare you, fear base you. And that's how it started. And then soon after, I was experiencing cars going by with their camera out taking a video or playing certain songs with particular lyrics that are supposed to make you think, just gaslighting you. Receiving lots of mail that were strange, like things I never received before, like funeral home information. I had family members who were into certain type of hobbies, and then I never received it before. I was receiving mail pertaining to those hobbies, and mail with names that were similar with family members' names. He was also creating online illusions. To give you an example of that is where the narcissist would pretend to be me, possibly using my photo, my name, other names, but insinuating family members' names and saying certain things. Now, if you have your phone compromised, you may say a particular thing because of what you're experiencing, venting, or just having conversations, just getting it out and trying to alchemize things and understand what's going on. Could this be so? Is this possible? Because the narcissist likes to mess with your reality. And then they act like nothing happened. And at this time, I believe he recruited certain family members to help him begin this systematic gang stalking. So what he would do is pretend to be me, create these illusions online, and give out insults or say certain things pertaining to things I said because the phone is compromised. So it kind of adds up, but it really doesn't mean exactly what the narcissist is saying online. So he's pretending to be me and then pretending to be certain family members insulting me. So myself and family members are under the impression that there is some sort of animosity, and I didn't understand where it was coming from because at that time I wasn't having any problems with the family. So the illusion is created that we're against each other, and the whole time it's the narcissist creating this alongside of other online stalking that was happening. Now, at this time, coming from here, I had met my son in 1998 here, because remember, he was given up for adoption here. I would say within this time of meeting my son. So what happened here is I received, the mailman personally comes to me and I had to sign for a letter. And my heart dropped because I kind of had a feeling what this letter was about. And at that time, my son was old enough and he and his girlfriend set out to find his biological mother. So the mailman comes to me and I had to sign for the letter, and I had to sit down for this because I kind of had a feeling of what it was. And it was my son trying to find me. And I was confused because it was supposed to be a closed adoption. Somehow the adoption agency leaked my name to the couple that adopted my son. So this is how he was able to find me. I responded. 2 days later, we were on a phone call. It was very emotional for me. So we set up a meeting. And by this time, I had moved and we met here. And at that time, my son was into the arts. And he's a violinist. He performs, he dances, plays a lot of instruments, is very good at what he does. At this time, my son was doing Broadway. And he was also doing a show in Philadelphia at the time as well. This was after we had met. At the same time that my son was doing something on Broadway and a few other things, my daughter was on a TV show. If you remember the show in the 80s, it was called Dancing on Air. So she was 2 years on that show. Now here at this time, if I can go back before the narcissist and I fell out, everything was fine here. So being on Facebook, he saw all this interaction with the TV show and Broadway, and we were thriving, and my daughter wasn't really making money here. She was doing this for the experience of understanding what goes on and creating, a production. So at this time, the narcissist is as we're talking on the phone, and he's seeing this on Facebook. He seemed a little annoyed, a little jealous, a little anxious, and he would say things like, well, everyone else is being blessed. Why am I not being blessed? And at that time, he told me that he owned a music studio, a complete building. So I didn't understand why he didn't feel blessed. And I'm understanding now. But, he never really gives people their flowers. It's kind of like, why is everybody else being blessed and I'm not? And the whole time I'm thinking, but you are blessed. You're not grateful for what you have. At that time, this is when I started to understand the illusions that the narcissist creates. Now, I'm not saying that he hasn't accomplished anything. What I'm saying is that narcissists pretend to be more grandiose than they are, and they future fake, and they make you think that things are grander than they are, and this is how they pull you in, receive that validation, that admiration. And I'm one, that I am supportive of fake it till you make it, even if you are actually doing things, that things will be where you want them to be. And I was very supportive here, to the point where I was buying the books that he had written. They weren't published, and he was a little bothered by how they were not selling. I was very supportive in that and bought the books because it seemed he wasn't happy with the turnout. So at that time, I noticed he was paying close attention to everything that was happening. And he was throwing ideas about a play he wrote, and he thought I was connected to big time producers and that my son or daughter can help something happen for him. And though it was done in this indirect way, it was clear that he was trying to align himself because he thought that we had some type of pull. So and the reason we fell out here was because he was becoming controlling. And I started to separate myself and detach and not being as engaged in the friendship. So I completely detached because it just didn't feel comfortable, didn't feel healthy. And I wanted to focus on myself. And it just seemed like every time I focused on myself, that would bother the narcissist. So we fell out, and fast forward here to 2015. After all this stalking started, and at this time as well, there was a family member, before I get into this, there was a family member who is a police officer, and I experienced this family member following me, and it was odd. Not sure if he was exactly following me, but that's what it felt like in the early morning hours after dropping my daughter off. At this time as well, I was into my hobby where I do a lot of scrapbooking and artwork with other females that gather in a particular venue that's created for women to be creative and network and explore new ways to come together, starting small businesses and things of that sort. So I was coming home from this venue with these other women, and I was followed by a police officer that I didn't recognize. And he kind of seemed like a rookie, very young. And at this time, the police officer in the family, he was very young and pretty much a rookie at the time as well. Now, this police officer who I didn't recognize stopped me on my way home from this venue. And he says to me, "Do you know you ran 2 red lights?" So I said, "I don't recollect that at all. I didn't run a red light at all. I wouldn't do that." To this day, I do not have any type of tickets, and I have a pretty good road record. So I asked the police officer, so I ran 2 red lights, and he told me, "But I'm not going to give you a ticket." Now, mind you, he had his badge covered, and it seemed pretty shady to me at the time, but I didn't really connect it. Not even sure if it is connected to the family member who had followed me at one time. And this was because the narcissist has created this illusion that family members were against each other and possibly telling them a lot of lies, and in order to anger them, so they are recruited into gang stalking me. So the police officer tells me, "No, I'm not going to give you a ticket." And I told him, "So you mean to tell me I ran 2 red lights and you're not going to give me a ticket?" And he was young, my daughter was next to me. She's a pretty girl, and he seemed a little flirtatious, but at the same time, as though he was trying to accomplish this. I don't know if it felt like I was being indirectly harassed. It didn't feel right. So he let us go, and I went home. Didn't think too much of it. Then I was experiencing other things here. So I took this to internal affairs, because now you have 2 different things that where my understanding was telling me that this was part of the gang stalking, the family cop and the cop that I didn't recognize. So I went to internal affairs and I said, "This is possibly what's going on. I just don't want to have family animosity." And I tried to explain what I was going through with the narcissist and the gang stalking, and filled out a report so that I have it on record, because it's not right that you're not doing anything to anyone, but yet you're being targeted in this way. So you can't prove anything. So I just try to keep a paper trail in order to cover myself if things had gotten worse. So I'm going to cover my name here. So just so you can see, I do have several DC reports that I've had to put in. And Now, some of these just have a DC number where I can go back and backtrack if I need to for the future. So I'm trying to cover myself, and I know what the narcissist is up to. Now, at this time, I try to explain to family members what I'm experiencing, but for them, not being savvy on narcissism and how this works, not being savvy on how narcissists operate, it was though I was talking to the wall. So they were hearing me, but not listening actively, not thinking critically. And I don't feel I ever had a problem with the police officer and the family, or his family. It just didn't add up. It just didn't warrant for all the things I was experiencing here. So I moved from here to here from 2011. By 2015, I moved here. And this was apartments where I had neighbors upstairs. So I lived on the bottom floor, and I had a neighbor up here, and there were other neighbors in this direction. So I started to experience the stalking here as well. And at this time, I was working at a particular place, and I began experiencing my job being compromised, where the other vendors were gaslighting, doing strange things, leaving things behind, doing the tactic that's called street theater. For example, the fact that my phone keeps being compromised every time I change it. If the narcissist hears your conversation the night before, whoever it is, I mean, it could be the narcissist and several other people, but I do believe that the narcissist is the head of the dragon with my story. So at this point, I was experiencing gaslighting, stalking, gang stalking, things being left behind, my car being scratched, things being said, just compromising hours at the job, or just giving me a hard time. And at the same time, I was living here at the apartments that we just moved into. So the neighbor upstairs was recruited. And what I experienced there is, if you can imagine, there was a balcony here, and my apartment was below that. So it was a porch with a balcony and a porch with a balcony here. So what this person up here was doing was, he would sit outside when I sit outside, and he would say strange things and names close to my stalker's name, or things that sound familiar, what I said the night before, and they were doing that at the job as well. It's called street theater, where if your phone is compromised, your conversation from the night before is being repeated verbatim back to you, but put in such a way where they were pretending they were talking on the phone to someone else, but repeating my same conversation. So this is something that has to be premeditated and created by the narcissist, who is the one who constantly compromises my phone. So this neighbor up here, what he was doing, I had flower pots in my front porch because we couldn't really, it was apartments, I couldn't really plant flowers or do too much gardening. So I had a potting garden with a bunch of pots and flowers and plants and things of that sort. So what this person was doing was dripping, I don't know what type of substance, but it was dripping onto my steps and into my flowers, where the next day I would find all my flowers dead. So whatever he was dripping over the balcony was leaving stains on the steps and killing the flowers that I had planted here. Couldn't prove it, but I knew where it was coming from. I repotted, replanted, same thing would happen again. Now I have a green thumb. Being a chosen one, we love nature, we love plants, we love flowers, and having a green thumb, I knew what I was doing and couldn't understand that every time I restarted the garden, my flowers would be dead the next morning. And I took a sample of what was being dripped into the pots and bought a kit online to tell me what the substance was. And whatever it was a chemical. I know it pointed a little bit towards bleach, but the kit couldn't tell me exactly what it was. So at this time, I was experiencing the gang stalking where people in the office were being used, the people upstairs were being utilized. Right here, since I'm always, where the narcissist is constantly invading my privacy and compromising my phone, I believe that the maintenance man was recruited to install cameras in my home. And the reason I say this is I was experiencing things like, I'm at the bottom apartment, he's at the top apartment. When I would walk from the bedroom to the bathroom or to the kitchen, anywhere in the apartment, the guy up here would do the same movement, verbatim. If I went to the kitchen, he went to the kitchen. If I went to the bathroom, he went to the bathroom. If I coughed, he coughed. If I played a particular song, he would play the same song. And online, the narcissist would hoover me online and find me. When he hoovered me online, in comments under videos on any type of, the only thing I actually had was Facebook, but I shut that down at this point. And I would use YouTube watching videos. Most of the time it was with art, things with spirituality, and he would find me. So in the comment section or in live videos, he would say a lot of gaslighting type of comments to fear-base me. Things like, you're screaming for help and no one can hear you. And things like, your life will never be the same. You rather die than submit. And I believe the reason he was saying that was because I forgot to mention over here, my car was crashed. Now I owned a black Murano back then. I was pretty proud of it because I finished off my payments. It was my first up-to-date new car and I was pretty proud of myself, working hard to pay that off. And I remember the hatchback was destroyed where I had to pay quite a bit to have that fixed. Now online, by the time I got here, he was saying things like that it was my cousin who crashed my car and your family doesn't like you and your family could be bought. And it was all put in a way where they were using family members' names, something similar to a family member's name, and then posting a picture of a black Murano with damage. Now, he was telling me that it was my male cousin and my female cousin who got together and conspired to have my car crash. And this may be due to him pretending to be me online. And they were becoming pretty angry, yet it was not me at all. So I couldn't prove any of that. So what happened with the car crash here was I was going down a two-way street and there was a Wawa's to my left, and the people at Wawa's, after my car was crashed, hit pretty hard from the back. There were two people in the car who sped off really fast down a one-way street, and the people who were standing outside at Wawa's told me it looked deliberate and they tried to rush to the corner to get a license plate. Now, they were able to get the license plate, but when they ran the license plate, they found that that car was stolen. So I couldn't prove any of that, didn't have more information from that. Again, back over here, the office, the people upstairs, the maintenance man may have put cameras because the narcissist was explaining certain things that I was doing in my home verbatim and teasing me. And many times I tried to look for things, bought devices to look for things, couldn't find anything. I even hired private investigators who brought in different types of devices to just check the place and see if there was anything they would find. And these were like high-tech type of devices. So they didn't find anything, and the narcissist was teasing me online in an indirect, like hidden way, that your investigators forgot something. So at that time, the narcissist tried to convince me that it was my husband who was doing this. And it caused a lot of arguments. I was becoming suspicious of my husband, but didn't understand why he would do that, because we were getting along, everything was fine. So he did try to frame and sabotage my husband a few times. And to piggyback off of that, with my husband at the time, the narcissist created a Facebook page attacking Latino, white, and black men. And the person behind that Facebook was a supposed Turkish man. So this was supposed to cause problems for my husband. And he would get people to show up at his job, and that's something that could be pretty serious and cause problems. My family over here thought that it was my husband. By the time we moved, thought that it was my husband behind this Facebook page. It wasn't him at all. My husband doesn't like computers. He's not into social media. He's just not bothered with it. Doesn't mind if everybody else is. We're just not really big on social media. So family members were saying things, I believe it was family members at the time, were saying things like, oh yeah, we need to get together and get back at them, and we need to do this and we need to do that. And it's hard to talk to anyone who is not ready to listen. So I did the best that I could to deal with that. So did my family. At this time, when I lived here, they sent this woman to knock at my door, and my husband at the time was sleeping and I was in the shower. When I checked the cameras later to see who was knocking, because I couldn't get out the shower quick enough, I saw there was a woman that we filmed sitting on my porch, filing her nails, adjusting her bra, adjusting her mini dress. And what she was saying on camera, because by this time I installed a camera out of a window I had here that could face out to the parking lot, which was in this area. And I'm witnessing her fixing her bra. She had all her cleavage out, acting really sexy on camera. And she's on the phone pretending to call my husband and saying, "Are you going to open the door?" mentioning my husband's name. Now, what was supposed to happen with that here was supposed to cause a divorce, or for us to get in an argument and become suspicious of each other. And at the same time, I was receiving phone calls by strange men at strange hours wanting to talk to me. And there were times where I would tell my husband to pick up the phone, check and see who that is, so he could see that I wasn't doing anything, I wasn't cheating or anything like that. So we figured it out after we saw this woman on film. She came in a white car, white SUV, and she was just doing this whole skit on camera, knocking on the door. And I'm wondering what would have happened if we opened the door. What was the plot? What was the game plan if one of us did open the door? I wish I had opened it. So my husband and I at the time, we sat and we looked at this, looking at this video, and we both busted out laughing, because we already understood the tactics and what the narcissist was trying to do, and possibly employing family members to help them do this to cause problems. Now, I'm not saying the family members are involved with everything, but I don't think the narcissist has that much power by himself. So he employs just as many people by this point, from, anywhere that he can. At that time, it was just a few friends and family, possibly at the job I had here as well. But this job here, the narcissist had no awareness of. Here he did, because later my phone was compromised. So my husband at the time and I laughed it off, and it didn't affect us the way the narcissist wanted to, amongst other things that happened here with the office, where I went to explain my situation at the office, just in case I'm being smeared there to give us a hard time. And the office manager was trying to record me while after I scheduled this time to speak with her. And she wasn't hiding the fact that she was trying to record me. At least she thought she was hiding it, but she took her phone, placed it on her chest, and turned the phone camera towards me. I already understood what she was doing, and I respectfully told her, can you turn the camera off? I'm not going to continue to speak until you turn the phone off. And she's like, oh, no, I'm not doing anything. Took the phone off, laying on her boobs, trying to record me. And I didn't understand why she would make such a bold move. Like, people test your intelligence, and it's not a good look for them, really. So she put the phone down. I'm not sure if she recorded the conversation or not, but I had my phone. I left my phone in the car and said what I needed to say, regardless of whether she was recording me or not. So my phone was in the car in airplane mode, and somehow the narcissist, having my phone compromised, knew that I didn't take my phone in with me, already knowing that I scheduled a time to speak with the office manager, trying to do some damage control. So by this time, we're here, we moved, and this was another apartment. Very big complex, 2017 to 2020. So here I started to experience the gang stalking again. Again, maintenance men, possibly cameras installed, because of all the things that I was hearing, the things that were being repeated by other people, and the teasing and the hovering and the harassment online. So neighbors, the mailman, and also here. Now, mind you, my daughter was in the Christian school, and by here, she was still attending the private Christian school. So what happened here was my daughter was about to graduate, I believe, and one of her friends, so-called friends, told her, on prom night, I know you're having a friend over. Can I come as well? So my daughter, being a nice person, she asked me permission first. And I said, do you know this person? And it turned out that one of her friends was recruited because he had my daughter's phone compromised in order to turn people against her. So he instructed one of my daughter's friends to ask to stay over prom night because they were going to get home late, and her mom had already given her permission. So this young lady stays over my house, and I was kind to her the way I am with everyone. I'm very hospitable when people are in my home. I don't have too much company because of this, and even if I didn't have a narcissist stalking me, that's just who I am. I'm very careful in the energies that I allow in my home. So what this young lady did was, when everyone was sleeping, she went to the bathroom, but I was awake and I was observing. she took a long time in the bathroom. Um, like strangely, like a long amount of time. So the next morning, actually that same night, I had this inkling that something shady was happening. So I go into the bathroom. She falls asleep. I wait for her to fall asleep. And when I go in the bathroom, I checked around, looked in the drawers, and what I found was I had a particular favorite curling iron. At the time, I was also a hairdresser for a little while. And what I found that these expensive curling irons was taken apart, and there was this white milky substance all over the curling iron, something that I didn't have any type of substance that matched that in the bathroom. So by that time, my husband being framed and sabotaged, and him telling me that it's my husband doing things online and causing a lot of you say a lot of doubt or suspicion, because I was going through so much. I was suspicious of everyone, but really didn't have a reason to be suspicious of my husband. But it's just where my mind was at the time and keeping it together at the same time. So it was supposed to, this destroying of my curling iron was supposed to make me blame my husband, because that, I believe that's just what his attempt was. So I didn't fall for that one either. And the young lady who had stayed over that prom night was saying a lot of strange things, like things according to racism and being a racist, and how she hangs out with certain demographic of people, and how this, that, or the other. Now, mind you, the narcissist is African American and uses religion, race, financial status, anything in order to tweak a person's mind and manipulate them into believing that I do not contact them or don't want anything to do with him because he is African American. Now, you've known me since here, and we've gotten along. I was pretty kind to you and just attentive enough, where, as I do with everyone. So how is it that we're friends for so long and suddenly I'm racist? Now, this is something that he uses quite a bit, where he tells people, well, you know, we have to stick together. You know how white people are, you know how Latinos are, and he gets into your head and uses race as a weapon. Now, you know, back in school, my best friend was a tall African American female, and living here, it was considered not quite a ghetto, but it was predominantly Black and Latin people. So I'm very multicultural, and I've never felt any type of way about any demographic of people. I'm, as a chosen one, we love everyone, and if you're treated with respect, that is what I return. I love people. I'm a people person, and I gravitate towards people who are just kind. You don't have to be perfect, but you navigate relationships with a level of mutual respect. But either way, you know, that is in the narcissist's mind. Often there's many excuses that are used along the way, and he shapeshifts with every circumstance. As the timelines move, his lies move. So we're here. I'm experiencing, this is where we're at the other apartment, the mailman. Now, the mailman was recruited where he left the mail system is a big wall with a bunch of mail slots, and you have a key and you pry it open. As a small box where the mailman leaves the mail for everyone in the complex. I have picture proof of this. Many times my mailbox would be left open after the mailman would drop off my mail. Now, what was supposed to happen with that is that another person was supposed to retrieve my mail in order to get information to give to the narcissist. Now, when I lived here, I experienced that as well, where I don't have it here, where the mailman was recruited. Before I get too much into everything else, back here, when I lived at the house, there were row homes. He recruited a guy down the street, and this was a pretty, it was a good neighborhood. You had your well-to-do people and middle class, just a little bit of everything. But the guy down the street, I believe he was a former drug addict. Why that particular person, I'm not sure, but he was recruited to steal my mail. So for an example, one day we went out, we all got into the car. We were going out for lunch as a family. And for some reason, you know, being a chosen one, we get these downloads. And I'm sure those who are intuitive and aware and very connected will understand what I'm talking about. But something told me when we took off in the car, by the time we got to the corner of the following block, I told my husband, turn around quickly, hurry up. So he turns around and we made a U-turn. And as I'm coming back to the house, I'm witnessing what looked like a teenager with a white hoodie. And he was running down the steps. And at this same time, the neighbor who was further down the street, a few houses down, was waving his hand, come here, hurry up, hurry up. So when I witnessed this teenager coming out, my mailbox was here. Coming down the steps, this person, I saw them put their hand down as though they were reaching in the mailbox. Now, I didn't have a lock and key here. Most people didn't experience anything with tampering of the mail in the neighborhood that I heard of. And for a little while, everything was fine. So I didn't think anything of it. But something told me to make a U-turn, and sure enough, I did witness the person running down the steps, and then the other person waving to that person, hurry up, come back. So what this tells me is that is further invasion of privacy with the phone compromise, possibly cameras, my phone, maybe GPS on the car, something was going on where someone knew that we made a U-turn and told the guy that lived up the street that we made a U-turn. So this is happening in real time. So this tells me that they're monitoring me leaving my home in several ways. And once you put all this together, you start to see all the angles the narcissist is working from. At all costs, in any direction, just covering all bases, micromanaging, and just fixated, obsessed, okay? So by the time, getting back to this, by the time I moved here, I had experienced enough already where I was seeking help, people to talk to, support groups, and things of that sort. So whenever I went to different facilities for domestic abuse, he would, being as though my phone was compromised, he knew that I was going to talk to someone or seek help. So what he was doing was discrediting me and smearing me and telling people that I was crazy and that I'm a problem, that I have issues. And by the time I would get to different facilities for help, I realized that I was being gaslit by the very people who are supposed to help you. Now, I'm starting to think that the narcissist, he doesn't have that much power. I mean, he uses his voice, his words, big words, sounds very together, very convincing, as though he's perfected what he's practiced. So he possibly has done this to other people. But at the same time, I'm thinking, could this be that he's utilizing the cop in the family and using his pull to keep me from getting help? This way is keeping everyone safe here from what they're doing. So again, here 2017 to 2020, where my daughter was smeared in school. My job was compromised. People at my job doing strange things, invasion of privacy, gaslighting neighbors, mailman, anything. And a lot of times what's been happening is that everywhere I moved to, everywhere I was, police officers would show up for no reason, as though they're taking care of another situation. But I feel like the narcissist may have been employing this cop, or they're doing it on their own, or not sure what was going on. But everywhere I moved, there was a cop that would show up somewhere nearby and make their presence known. And I believe this was to fear-base me into not talking, to keep me silent, or to make me feel like I was in some sort of trouble. And mind you, I haven't done anything here other than defend myself, maybe vent. Now, what the narcissist was doing was recording me after he created situations that would anger you. Now, I didn't get to everything here. So if you can imagine, I was venting in my home, angry, telling the narcissist off, to family. And now that I feel my phone is compromised, I'm hoping he hears it as well. If you're going to invade my privacy, you're not going to hear very nice things, and rightfully so. So what he would do is use reactive abuse. So he would create illusions online as family attacking each other. And then when I would vent at home, he would take that recording to the family members. But yet the family members or friends or whoever was being used, they do not admit or connect the fact that you're venting due to what they're doing. So they completely bypass and disconnect from what they've done. But you venting or you speaking out on this was a problem. So the narcissist would create something for me to get angry so that I would react, and then take that reaction back to the person, knowing that people only hear, and he said this before, people only hear and see what they want to, just like people will listen when they're ready. So he knew that people are connected, and some of them have a bit of narcissism themselves at different levels. We all do. And, everybody wants to be seen. Everybody wants to be heard. But there are people who have this at a dangerous level where it can really cause some serious issues. And it's just very insidious, manipulative, a lot of framing, a lot of blackmail, a lot of gang stalking, recruiting of people. And the narcissist, being the head of the dragon, is like a cult leader. So he will show love and kindness, and actually even love bomb men, saying things like it's bros before hoes, and creating this picture of you that you're such a bad person, and trying to bring out the good in that person that he's trying to recruit. He will try to use their own wounds against them, find out about them, kind of get an idea of who they are, what they've been through, and create this soul tie so that he can gain your trust. Once he gains your trust, he has this formula for you, and each person is different. It takes a lot of time to do this, so I don't understand. I've been saying narcissist doesn't work. He pretends to have things going on that he actually doesn't. So he will get into your head, emotionally manipulate you. He'll love bomb even men, women, and use your wounds against you, your vulnerabilities against you. If you're naive, gullible, or easily persuaded, uses coercion of the heart, anything, many tactics are used. So by this time I moved here. Now here we're in a townhome. Now these are houses that are attached, and at this point in these townhomes, neighbors were recruited to gaslight. My car was being scratched, saying strange things. Excuse me. Also recruiting the mailman. The new job, I left this job because I figured I would do a little better here, or maybe a better experience. Compromising people at the new job while I was living here. So within 2 years, I left this place and moved on to currently where I am now. So what I did was just assessing things and learning the patterns and how things are done and all the tactics. Not getting a lot of help from anyone. The system isn't really set up to help people in these type of situations, especially if there's any type of authoritative type of figures that are being utilized as well, so you don't get anywhere. So in the current home, we moved in 2023. Again, the gang stalking started again. Neighbors who are surveillancing you, they can see when you leave. This is how the narcissist knows when you move to a new job. Now, if you're contacting a job, I don't understand why the boss or coworkers don't ask questions as to why are you contacting us? Why are you telling us this? How do you even know where she works? If people did more of critical thinking, I could receive some help, or at least a person could stay neutral or mind their business or ask questions, or maybe try to offer some help in some sort of way so that I can get this stalker off my back. So at 2025 here, it's neighbors surveillancing you in real time. Not too long ago, I called a neighbor. The minute that I go outside, he goes outside and he sits directly facing you, and he pulls out his phone. Now I can see the little light on in his phone. And so one day I'm sitting outside, I'm having my tea in the early mornings, just enjoying the morning air. And I asked him, are you taking videos or pictures of me? Because I am experiencing some stalking and harassment. And he got up quickly because I noticed, you know how you can tell someone's guilty by their body movements. And that's something that chosen ones pick up quickly, as facial movements, body movements. It tells you 1,000 things that, a person who's not too aware realizes they're telling you with just a little movement in their face when you ask a question. Like it's a gift that I've had for a very long time. But so the neighbor surveillancing, my job being compromised, co-workers gaslighting, my car being scratched again. Now, when I lived in this home and I got to the new job, again, this is the third location where the narcissist is recruiting people at jobs. So before I even got to the new job, when I lived here, it's a market with at least 200 vendors and creative people who are selling their new, used, or handmade products, just running their business. And again, before I got to this job, one office woman was already recruited before I even set up at this new job. Before I put my first piece of merchandise on a shelf, the person at the office at this job was recruited. And to explain a little bit of that, throughout all of this, the narcissist was using the term Alice in Wonderland and going down the rabbit hole, not knowing fact from fiction. And distortion of reality. So he would call me Alice in Wonderland often. So he recruited the female in the office of that new job. And what happened there was she created a new offering to the public. She was in charge of creating different events and entertainment for the customers that come into the market. So when I got there, I already knew she was a recruiter just by the look on her face, but I wasn't too sure yet. And she created an Alice in Wonderland tea party for mothers and daughters. Now, people will say, oh, that's just random. You're reaching too much. No, this was done purposely. And then involving many people and not involving me, where this whole Alice in Wonderland was a big thing throughout the whole market. And in the meantime, being gaslit and adding the Alice in Wonderland thing and just letting me know that I'm about to go down a rabbit hole at this new job. And I'm Alice in Wonderland all over again because, mind you, I've been Alice in Wonderland in all these other situations while I'm being gaslit and being called Alice in Wonderland several times as I'm being hoovered by the narcissist everywhere I go online. So this means my phone is compromised and he's tracking my every movement online as well. So alongside of the Alice in Wonderland thing, I experienced co-workers gaslighting. For example, after I set up my store became very popular quickly. I went from a small location to a bigger location. My clientele grew. People were liking my product. I was getting a lot of compliments, a lot of people telling me they feel peaceful coming into my location, a lot of just, compliments, and I was feeling good about myself and just feeling normal again. And the narcissist was hating what was happening with this new job because to him, he was losing control and I was getting just a little too much attention and finally feeling normal again and trying to ignore what was happening. So again, if you have the phone compromised, this means the narcissist can hear you receiving your flowers, finally getting a little ray of hope of some normalcy here. Even though I've kept it together and I kept pushing, I don't stop for the negativity because I understand what is happening, because I will not allow my mind to be compromised, my life to be hacked. I continue pulling forward. So alongside of all of this that's going on, I was experiencing women competing with me, a competition that I didn't know I was in. Now, this turned from 1 woman to 2 women to 3 to 4 women. I would say it was a little clique within the place. A lot of others were kind and they didn't get involved, or maybe they didn't recruit them. But I would say it was about maybe 3 or 4 men who knew about this and about 4 women who slowly were recruiting other people that I was getting along with and networking. And I think the narcissist was getting pretty frustrated because I lasted here longer than I did at the other jobs. And he was hearing a lot of good things. So I was receiving a few negative comments in my email that was attached to the business, like I didn't have a good experience. Now, those types of things were being done purposely, possibly by the narcissist or someone he recruited, because he was getting annoyed at all the compliments I was getting while I was living here with the new job. So I never received anything negative in my business within itself because I was attentive and kind to everyone. And excuse me. I knew that it was mostly positive coming from my customers, and I was building a clientele, making new friends, just enjoying myself and creating. So at this time, it seemed like so not that it seemed like this was actually happening. There were certain women who they pretended it wasn't them, but I knew who it was. And I had to keep it together here because I believe they were trying to trigger me and mess with my reality and gaslight and stalk and reporting back to the narcissist who I would talk to. If I talked to a male too long, they were reporting to the narcissist. Then he would contact that male, and he was trying to cock block me from people I wasn't even interested in. So they would start saying weird things. They don't, if somebody was interested, they no longer had interest. So these females would start copying the way I dress, or when my car was scratched here as well, one of the females came in and said, "Hey, did you see I bought a new car? I'm so happy because my other car was scratched." Now, somebody may have scratched her car or wasn't scratched at all. I don't know what happened with that situation, but I found my car scratched right before she bought her new car. So I don't know if she scratched my car on purpose and then the next day said that somebody scratched her car, so she bought a new one. Now, the narcissist places people into a competitive mode where people are competing with you, and you don't realize they're competing with you till later, because as a chosen one, I'm happy when people are happy or when they're thriving. So when they're telling me things, I don't see it as a competition. I see it as they accomplish something, they're happy, so I give them their flowers and I'm not thinking anything of it. But it got so excessive where you saw how competitive people were behaving, where they were copying you. They were trying to get next to you to siphon your energy so they can do well. People were coming in and leaving strange things in my store location, stealing, scratching things, moving things, or stealing things, and then they would reappear the following day or the following week. Strange things being said pertaining to my life, verbatim in detail, being repeated to me. Quite a bit was happening in here. And at this point, I was explaining to the manager what I was experiencing, and he was a pretty cool guy. We got along in the beginning. He thought I didn't like him. I don't know why. Maybe it was due to the smearing. When people are told you're this kind of person, that kind of person, they're kind of afraid to approach you and actually believe you don't like them without even meeting them yet. So the manager and I got along pretty well. And at this time, the narcissist is telling people that I'm having work-based affairs, though I didn't. I'll get further into that with the twin flame. I did meet my twin flame there, what I believe is my twin flame. He also spread rumors that I was having an affair with the boss. Now, the boss is married. There wasn't anything going on there, but I was kind to him because he was kind to me. So a narcissist would think that if you're kind to someone, that you're all automatically sleeping together. So this is just his frame of mind. And even with females, he's highly suspicious or tries to destroy your friendship. So after a year, within the first year, I had met my twin flame, where we had this soul recognition, this familiarity that we didn't know where it was coming from. We were trying to put the pieces together. We were feeling all sorts of things. And it wasn't just lust like the narcissist says. It's just this soul connection, this attraction that we couldn't explain. And it was our thing to figure out. For the first year, we got along great. I have never slept with the narcissist. I do not have kids with the narcissist. And he's telling people that he and I slept together, that we have a kid together, all sorts of lies. And in order to keep people away from me, and in order to lessen what's actually going on, very distorted, lots of lies, lots of micromanaging. So within the first 2 months, I met my twin flame. Everything was going great. We were kind to each other. Somehow I felt at home in the beginning with him. I was telling him how all the other things that were happening, and the twin flame would say things like, "and nobody's helping you, and he would listen and understand, was listening actively. I For some reason, I just felt comfortable telling him everything, and in the beginning feeling safe. So what happened was, and again, never slept with the twin flame. We never went on a date. All of this was happening at work. Mind you, we work from 9 to 9 a few days of the week. So that was time that, we crossed each other's path on our way to lunch and had a few conversations here and there. We knew something was there with this connection. He was a little confused, not as aware as I am. Being a chosen one, had many ascensions, and I'm very aware as to what's going on early on. And the universe was guiding me from the beginning. So I didn't get a chance to explain to the twin flame how all this works. Somehow the narcissist was told by coworkers that the twin flame and I were connecting. It was one particular female who got back word to other people, and those other people contacted the narcissist. The narcissist, compromising my phone, can see the text that we're sending back and forth. Twin flame didn't text me too much. We were still getting to know each other, but I was trying to send him information. Could this be? Can we look into it? And several things, would happen here and there that were on the positive side. And once the narcissist found out about the twin flame and who I was texting, this is when he started his whole campaign to come, not campaign, but when he started the whole plotting of turning the twin flame against me. The twin flame went from smiling and feeling comfortable. We were both a bit nervous, but we felt at home at the same time. He went from being pleasant, smiling, healthy looking. The business at the time, I think, was okay. And at that time, the whole market was actually slow, but we were pushing through that, giving each other ideas and talking about business, whatever, it just seemed pleasant. Once the narcissist was told about the twin flame, within a matter of 24 hours, the next day, when I walked by the twin flame, it was like he moved closer to the wall as though I was the plague or had COVID or something. And just gave his smile wasn't there, and he looked angry or suspicious, or just, it was just very strange. But I knew what was happening already, and I tried to remain positive. I tried to send him a few texts to help him understand. After a while, I realized that the narcissist may have gotten so far into his mind, and I didn't want to do any more chasing. I was already the chaser in the beginning of the twin flame dynamic, and he was the runner. I do believe the twin flame is an avoidant, not necessarily a narcissist, but I just didn't want to lose myself any further with the narcissism thing, and we were already a bit confused with the twin flame thing and no support with that, trying to figure it out, because it does put you through some changes and trying to figure this out, and a lot goes through your mind that you're trying to put together, and it's a dynamic within itself that if we were left alone, this probably would have turned out better than it has. The narcissist was telling the twin flame lots of insidious, ugly lies about me. Anything to block us, anything to change his mind. And as I said before, the narcissist will create a soul tie with anyone, even men, where it does resemble love bombing. And he could, I don't know if he's down low and the narcissist, just found him attractive as well, being as though we are known to carry the same soul. He may have been attracted to that same soul essence that twin flames carry. So I'm not sure what happened with that. But this was quite a long time that he was in the twin flame's ear, maybe recruiting him for things and bringing in other people to convince him, possibly family, friends around us, co-workers. At that time, the karmic wasn't working there yet. She came in maybe about a year later after I was there. So she would pass him, ask him if he was married. That's what she told me face to face. Those two started talking, and by that time, within that year, the twin flame said he was open to a relationship. And considering that I was going through all of this, I was afraid to get into any type of relationship with the flame too quickly. I wanted to educate him first because I wanted it to work out. And if he didn't understand what he was getting into, then it would cause a problem. So I never answered the twin flame, but I was planning to, and decided I'm just going to go for it and answer the question. And this is when I showed interest. And by then, the flame was already compromised by the narcissist, and he may have lost hope with that or lost interest. But at the same time, I could tell that the twin flame was having this mind over spirit conflict, because even though I was being smeared, he still would walk by and acknowledge you, or just show this type of telepathic compassion without words, but at the same time conflicted, didn't know what to believe, which way to go. And he was fighting this battle within, and being as though that we can telepathically speak or understand each other, I saw this mind over heart battle. And I think the narcissist was just working overtime and trying to make sure that we didn't connect, because the narcissist did his homework on twin flames and actually claimed to be my twin flame. So this is when the narcissist started to take on that he was my soulmate in order to create the same type of dynamics. And that's when he began to destiny swap. The narcissist is not my soulmate. It takes two people to understand who they are to each other. I have no love, no care, no interest in the narcissist whatsoever. Yes, we were friends in school, but that does not mean that he has any rights into my life, and he is forcing his way into my life, into the lives of those around me in order to isolate me. So at this point, it's really hard to talk to anyone who is not willing to hear you out actively. And this is why I've had to walk away and detach for my sanity, because what the narcissist does, and mostly all narcissists do this, where they keep you trapped, they keep you hostage, changing narratives and smearing you, framing you, creating lots of lies and illusions in order to keep you trapped in his world and in his delusions, in his mind. And pretty much narcissist hoards people, and once you isolated and alone, they come in, they take over your family, your friends, your co-workers. He makes your family his family, but your enemy. He makes your friends his friends and makes them your enemy. Your co-workers, he lives 3,000 miles away in another state, but yet your co-workers are catering and teaming up with this person. So pretty much he has destiny swapped everything from me. This is a person who doesn't have too many people in his life. He's exhausted people out of his life, possibly because of the way he is, and is hard to detect because he speaks well. He presents himself as a boss, father figure, and is just not presenting that Jekyll and Hyde. If you are not, he is presenting the Jekyll and Hyde, but it's hard to detect, because if you are not in direct line of fire and you do not know all these details, and I haven't even explained everything here, You won't pick up on it until you become a target yourself. And the way you become a target is not submitting or following the delusions that he has created, the fantasy he has created that we are together. So for 16 years, what he's done is hacked videos, pictures, compromised so much to the point where he's embedded himself so far into my life, he's having a one-way relationship with me. And so and that's called an erotomaniac, where you believe someone is in love with you and they convince themselves so much so that they're literally in their mind in a relationship with you and you belong to him, and they create this whole illusion walks through the park, carving your names in trees, sitting on the beach, Netflix and chill. He's never sent me flowers. He's never given me anything. If anything, I was the giver here. I was the one showing compassion, and realize this is not a person you can heal. This is their default setting. Narcissists do not change. They get worse as they get older. Now, if anyone out there doesn't believe me, then you stay in that, you stay intertwined with a narcissist long enough, you'll understand what I'm saying, because sooner or later you will become a target if you decide you want to think for yourself. Back to here, the karmic came in a year later. So the twin flame and her started talking, lots of texts, lots of things, going back and forth. By this point, the narcissist convinced the twin flame that I was a hoe, that I like to party, that I shoot up, that I do drugs, I think a lot, that I'm sneaky, I'm this, that, or the other. And, half the stuff that he tells people, I don't even keep track anymore. What he wants me to do is to crawl and beg and consistently put out fires where I'm held hostage trying to save myself. I detach from all of that and don't engage. Now, the karmic and the twin flame, I guess they were getting closer. The other co-workers were pushing the karmic towards him, possibly family, friends, I'm not sure. So it got to the point where the twin flame was, I guess, starting to dislike me, kind of conflicted on how he feels, not sure as to who I am. He got to know the karmic a little better than myself, and everyone's pushing the karmic towards him. I believe the narcissist may have told the karmic to copy me, do this, do that, and may have been instructing the karmic in how to pull the twin flame away from me. And she assumed my identity, I believe, because I noticed her location started to look like mine. She started to dress like me. And at one point, after a while in this, the co-workers' help and the narcissist, even security, were involved in making me feel like I don't belong, and giving this person her flower and making her feel like she belonged, and really driving that. So I don't complain. I walk away. I don't ask to be noticed. I don't need that type of attention. I simply walk away. I alchemize, I transmute. I'm not going to be dragged into the circus. So by then, I believe the twin flame was beginning to dislike me and believe things. So he walked towards the karmic, where they created this dynamic. The karmic would leave the job at the same time that the twin flame was missing, and they wanted me to know that they were together, possibly partying and creating this relationship. And they all knew, possibly meeting up with and under the guidance of the narcissist and the manipulation, to the point where other co-workers were giving this person a lot of attention. There was this situation that happened where the narcissist was convincing everyone that I had people watching the karmic. And so they all thought this was true. And I didn't have anyone watching the karmic. I didn't know when she was missing from the job. I was at the other end of the building. I had to walk her direction in order to get breakfast, lunch, or dinner. But I most certainly didn't have anybody watching her. Now, there's times that I notice things, but I usually keep things that I discover to myself. I observe from the side. I allow people to think that, for lack of a better word, slow. But I notice everything 360. I just choose to move in a way where my guides and the universe, God, whatever it is that you believe in, I listen to the way it's telling me to navigate certain things in order to avoid becoming further engaged into things, which that's what the narcissist wanted to do, was to have the twin flame make me jealous, and then the karmic would play along. The narcissist wanted me to know, he's used women in the past to try to make me jealous, and everything that another female did wrong, he would blame me for it, and I had nothing to do with it. So he was doing the same thing possibly with the karmic, and I believe maybe the narcissist and the karmic set up certain things the twin flame didn't know about, and also things that the flame was involved in, believing I was a certain kind of person. So I feel like he was also manipulated. Again, I felt like this conflicting energy coming from the twin flame, and it almost felt like he was under a spell and not himself. The way he looked was changing. He left the job. He just wasn't the same. Maybe he was going through other things. I really can't say for sure. But now that's where we are, where now, since I left here, after a few years, which is the longest place I lasted. Now, before all these jobs, I worked for the IRS quite a few years and had a long-term job over here with a pharmaceutical company. But within the IRS, I wasn't able to be creative and wanted to venture out, being an entrepreneur and using my creativity and networking. So because I left here, the narcissist didn't have any of these people to harass me, bully me, gaslight me, give any information. So the narcissist tries to stay attached in any way he can, that he can continue to get information, possibly is still surveillancing me in my home, trying to get help for that. I still will not stop living as normal, and we will get to the bottom of it if this is actually happening, because a lot of people are giving me hints that I'm being watched with pretty detailed stuff, and I read between the lines and I see what people are telling me. So whatever is in my home, if there is anything in my home, that is a crime. Also, if there is something in my home, which tells me there possibly could be, because I've been saving money from the last job, and currently I was saving money, and one day I sat down, I didn't put that money in the bank yet, in my account yet. So I was sitting on my couch counting money that I had saved with the intentions of putting it into my account, but wanted to get a certain amount for particular things that I was saving for. I sat on the couch and I was counting. Mind you, I have quite a bit of ones there, so it looks like I have more than I have, but I did save quite a bit on the side for certain things that I need to do while still working and having regular money being deposited into my account. This money in cash I had on the side, I accepted cash and credit at my place of business. So not having the time to put it into my account, I was counting it on sitting on the couch. So obviously there may be something in my home, because the narcissist soon began talking about some secret stash that I have. How do you know it's not a secret? Because I'm in my home, and what I have are things that I legitimately am acquiring. So what, how do you know that I have this stash? So getting back to when the narcissist and I were getting along and talking, I did mention to him that we had a 401k plan, but during COVID, that 401k plan was, money was used. Something about an inheritance. Back here when we used to talk, I mentioned to the narcissist that my mother once mentioned to me that I have some type of inheritance somewhere. I never knew anything more about it. She just mentioned it on a whim. I never thought about it again. So the narcissist believes that I have more money than I actually have. He believes that I received some type of inheritance, something about a house. I have no idea. So at this point, the narcissist has been pocket watching me with every step I take. It's all about money with the narcissist and trying to get to your money, possibly trying to remain in your life, trying to create a relationship, believing that I'm going to receive money from my husband's 401k plan. That is his money, not mine. If you're separated, I don't get that money. The inheritance, maybe he believes I have that, and that's the money that I was counting on my couch. That was actually just the day-to-day income I was receiving from the job. So that, and this is more of the pattern that's happened earlier in the past 16 years, where the narcissist was telling people to ask me for money, create stories. Now, what the narcissist does is tell several people along the way that I stole money from him, like in the millions. Now, I haven't seen the narcissist in over 35 years. I haven't talked to him in 16 years. When I detached from this person 16 years ago, I haven't sent a text. I haven't talked to him. There's no dating. There's no communication. Absolutely nothing. We are not together. We were never together since the beginning. Now, the money that I was counting on my couch, this is something that he may have seen or someone's seen and believe that I have all sorts of kind of large amount of money that I'm hiding. And on my daughter's life, this is not true. So they're connecting these stories with the inheritance that I once talked about, and also the 401k plan with our savings. And the narcissist was hoping to create a relationship and retire to some woman's money. Now, in the past, I believe the narcissist has used women for their money, and I believe the wife was one who was supporting him, and he was selling her the future, faking and selling her this dream. And maybe it never took off, but he makes it appear like it did. Again, I'm not saying this person cannot achieve anything. I don't know what he may be hiding that he's accomplished. I don't know. I'm just telling you what I have learned, discover, and know that is true about narcissists, that they pretend to be rich and famous. The narcissist is someone who pretended to be a police officer because he knows there's a police officer in the family. He has pretended and told people he was a military man. He's had a channel where he pretended to be a 2-degree psychologist and pulling and fooling people with that. Now, you have people who are truly trying to heal out there, and they reach out to people, and narcissists are pretending to be therapists, psychologists. He said he graduated from college with a 2-degree psychology degree, and has also said he's a music producer. He's online portraying that. I don't know how true and detailed that is, but I believe it's just a facade in order to cover up that he is a catfisher. He does love scams. He does all kinds of scams. Now, with him telling people that I stole money from him, this is a lie in order to have people feel pity for him. And if he can pull someone in and build that soul tie, he can get this pity or possibly pay people. I believe he's paid people for certain dirty jobs as well. And people believing that I have taken money from him, he's being scammed into manipulating people to get the money back from me that I have never taken. So at one point, the twin flame was telling me they took money out of his account, some situation that he had, and he pulled out his phone, showed me proof, and how he needed help and thought about asking friends, and he was hinting. And at that time, I really didn't put it together that he may be working with the narcissist, possibly trying to get money for whatever reason, thinking that he was doing a new friend, because the narcissist will call you their best friend and build such a deep soul tie that you really, if you have a good heart, you really think that you are helping a victim of someone else. So I don't know if the flame was trying to get, the twin flame was trying to get money for the narcissist to send to him. I don't know. I did lend him money to help him out at the time. It wasn't a large amount, but I was helpful, and I didn't feel too bad about it in the beginning, but later, I started to put things together and kind of had an inkling in the beginning, but I wanted to see how this would pan out. This will kind of give me an idea, being an aware person, it would give me an idea of who the twin flame is and what he's going to do, how he's going to handle this. And wanted to find out what he was made of, I guess, kind of in an innocent way, but at the same time being helpful. Now, the narcissist has done this in the past where he had a friend of my husband ask him for money. And at that time, he told people lies and said that we hit a lottery. So if the narcissist can make a lot of people believe that you have a large sum of money, what will happen? What happens to people who win the lottery? Suddenly, family that they didn't know were family suddenly show up. Friends now are giving you a lot of attention. Now people are harassing you. Now people are trying to get money in several ways, possibly break into your home, or just people act strange when they think you have come across a large amount of money. Now you have people upset with you because the narcissist is telling people, I don't want to share, that I'm stingy. And what it is the narcissist trying to find that information to see if I have a large amount of money or received anything. Possibly if the inheritance was found, they may have done research. If that inheritance was found, someone else has kept it. They don't want me to receive my own money, or something else fishy is going on there. Now, I don't reveal everything that I know because it's just, I have to keep certain things confidential for certain reasons. But I'm waiting to see how this goes. Now, mind you, in the meantime, so people know I haven't done anything negative to any of these people other than react to what is being created. So at the end of the day, what is this all about? This is all about the narcissist staying relevant, the narcissist pocket watching, the narcissist destiny swapping the twin flame and I, the narcissist, even before the twin flame, he was destiny swapping in other areas of my life. It's strange and creepy that this is a male who has assumed my identity. Now, I want to go back to when I live here. I forgot to mention, the narcissist was married here, and he heard my husband at the time talk about creating a channel and helping others and giving back, helping others who are experiencing these dynamics and bringing and educational awareness. So the narcissist tried to beat me to it and created a channel, and I started experiencing my channels being deleted, or my whole Google account being deleted, being compromised, things being posted that I never posted. He was ghostwriting for me against my family, started, messing with my YouTube channel. So what he did here was, I'm not sure if his wife knew that he was doing this or she was part of it and an accomplice, but my phone being compromised, right? So if he can hear your words of wisdom, your ideas, your analogies, anything. So he was taking my words of wisdom, my analogies, my ideas, and he was giving them to his wife. So his wife was making YouTube videos with my ideas, my words of wisdom, but not just that. And this is why he was having my channels deleted or flagged. So the narcissist was taking my words of wisdom and giving it to his wife, and she would talk about my ideas. At the same time, while he was stalking, harassing, and using a lot of tactics, he was he himself and his wife wanting to destiny swap again and do these and do this channel idea before I do. He was talking about the very things that he was doing to me as though someone was doing it to him. For example, he would have a tactic done by someone, or some situation would happen. He would run back online and quickly make a video and tell people that what he just did to me, that I did to him. And this was distorting everything. And this was being done at real time quite a lot, to the point where he had at least 3,000 videos, and most of the videos were about what he was doing and other stories he would add in, assuming other people online's identity. Narcissists do not have an identity of their own. They're consistently stealing someone else's persona. And sometimes it's a compilation of a bunch of people all in one, and telling stories about college and these detailed delusional stories. And he never went to college. He actually here dropped out in the 7th grade and stopped coming to school. And when we spoke, I asked him, hey, did you ever get to graduate? If you didn't, that's cool. A lot of people do a lot of great things even without graduating or finishing school. So just kind of just having regular innocent conversation. And he told me no, that, he dropped out in the 7th grade, never went back. But then soon after seeing my graduation picture on Facebook, we were doing a throwback Thursday type of thing. And my husband and I graduated from the same school, and there was a picture of us in the background graduating. And then suddenly he graduated from college. He has 2 degrees in psychology, and there's no shame. He knows I know the truth. And that's why he currently talks about going back to school. It seems like this person is looking back at his life and all the choices that he's made, and still making poor choices. And it's done in this hidden backwards way, where it's undetectable by others. But he's looking back at his life and he's seeing what other people have accomplished. And he's just decided to delay people, to stop people from growing, kind of like waiting till he catches up to you. But it never really works out, because the universe isn't going to grant you an abundance if you're doing this in such a crooked, insidious, dark way. I feel like the narcissist is not in touch with reality, to the point where the lies that are made up, the illusions, the delusions, they actually believe anything that crosses their mind. They believe it to be true. And it's had so many people, even past pastors, when I used to go to a church trying to find healing, and I realized that that wasn't a place for me to heal. They were actually recruited and church herding me off of stage, if you know what church hurt is, using you as an example, but falsely, because I was being described as the person that I'm not. So a lot of framing, sabotaging, coercion, manipulation, illusions, just a lot of like MK Ultra type of mind control. The narcissist knows how to break down your mental state and use it to his advantage, and is so manipulative and so calculated, that he can keep people trapped. Now, if you are beginning to wake up, what happens is the narcissist comes back in order to reprogram you, to make sure that you don't start picking up or awaken. He wants to keep everyone in a sleep state. And this is done with talking about his childhood wounds, constantly coming back, reprogramming. If you are beginning to realize something or awaken to something, or something doesn't sound right, he doesn't want you to put the pieces together. So he kind of keeps you trapped and hostage to your own mind. And that's something I had to break away from. And I never was really under, because I kept moving as I go along and healing. In the beginning, it was a little disorienting, but being as though that I grew up with narcissism in growing up, I kind of already knew subconsciously what to look for. Being a natural healer and being a chosen one, these things come to you fairly quickly, and it's actually have helped me navigate in order to help other people with healing. And I don't force anyone to heal, but God shows me the way and who to help and who is helpable, if that's even a word. But it's just something that I feel compelled to do, even if I try not to. It just naturally comes to me. And a lot of times people could look at me and feel a little intimidated, but I'm just like everyone else, just a little different. I don't bite. And people who are deeply stuck in the 3D, they tend to make more out of this and don't realize that I'm the easiest person to talk to. But we chosen ones, we shake up people's demons, and we don't mean to. I mean, there were times where I walked into work, and you walk into certain spaces and there's several people sitting there, and everybody looks up at the same time, and they give me this weird look. And they're not, some of them were not involved in this, but it's almost like they notice or feel something, and the energy shifts. And for the most part, I'm one that I naturally alchemize, I transmute, I help people raise their frequency. And sometimes I do this unknowingly. God used me in unconventional ways, and I'm learning how to navigate all of this and accept it, and loving who I have become. I'm in a good place, though I'm still dealing with this. When I left this last job, the narcissist didn't want me to get away, because now he doesn't have anyone to use consistently, and he doesn't want a break in between, because you may be doing too much healing if you have a break. So he quickly may have constructed this thing online with either the karmic or family, who realized I recently exposed something and touched on something that may have triggered people. Maybe people became scared and wanted to quickly smear me, to shut me down, to scare me into silence. And at that time, I'm healing further. I'm detaching. I already know what the next plan is and what they're trying to do, what they're trying to accomplish. And it's really not something I want to engage in. And all the assuming, overthinking, the 3D base smearing and trying to get me to react, it's not going to work, because firstly, I understand what people are experiencing. I understand that I have to give grace to the manipulation and to where they stand within themselves. You gave a certain amount of grace of people who either are awakening or still finding themselves, or even those who may never awaken. Unless I'm touched physically myself, I don't have a need to respond to all this smearing. Yes, there are times where you want to correct something, but what this is meant to do is to keep you trapped, to keep you hostage, and to keep this going after so many years. The narcissist doesn't want you to get away, so he will construct things and shift the blame onto others, because now he's assuming the twin flames identity and destiny swapping, how the twin flame may be feeling as he's discovering things. And the twin flame still may be involved in a few things. I'm not sure, but I do know what he has, some of the things he's done that he doesn't think I understand or am aware of. The karmic may also be in on this situation. I feel like there are a bunch of illusions, a lot of lies, things that they're keeping from me. And, you know, keeping me hanging on to several things could possibly be just to either feed from your energy, or for you not to discover the truth, or for you to not expose it, for you not to seek justice. But I do believe that there is a grace that can be given to people who are discovering how they've been bamboozled. And we all been there. I mean, I was one in the very beginning where I fell for this person tactics in the very beginning, who was just pocket watching, trying to get things from me, trying to see if I can get him some work or his creations to be heard by someone on Broadway. I don't even know the people who employed my son on Broadway. I don't, you know, affiliate myself with the producers of the TV show that my daughter was in, so I had no connection to those people. But I believe he was trying to align with me to see if he can get anywhere, using me further as some type of resource. Now, if we were good friends and everything was done legitimately and he wasn't a predator, then I would still be supportive or helpful, or, you know, just cheering a person on. But because that's who I am with everyone until you show me that otherwise. But this is a person who's extremely detached from reality, and it doesn't end. He will keep using people, creating lies, changing the narrative, continue to smear me. This is what he wants to keep other people trapped into. I don't know if they're being paid or if they're under some type of mind control spells themselves. Or maybe they dislike me, and I don't even know half of who these people are. It could possibly be family, friends. I haven't had a problem with family members. Some people say it's a sister. My brother is deceased. My brother, along the way, was unalived by a narcissist when he was a teenager, who was stalking him, ironically. My brother was being stalked for about a year in school, followed until eventually this person, I believe was a narcissistic teen with a lot of problems, who took his life in, you know, a gruesome way, with a blow to the head that was done with a what people say is a pew pew online. But yeah, so people aren't taking me seriously. People are not listening. And after this happening to my brother at the age of 16, I had to go within and actually keep it together and not be led with fear. So hopefully some people can have compassion, come forward and help me get justice and help me get this person off my back. He is lying to everyone. I never promised this person anything. I do not want a future with this person. I don't want to be contacted. Narcissists act like nothing is going on. The default setting, they believe that this is the proper way to behave. This is how they do things, a lot of deception, possibly since they were young or could have learned it or born this way. Something is just not mentally right with this person, and it's very concerning. So there's a lot more that I could say here, but this video would be way too long. So thank you for watching. Again, if there's anyone out there who's hearing my story, if I can go into details, I do have a lot of things that I can prove, but not substantial enough to, you know, help me right now, I guess. But, you know, if someone, I was told all I need is one person to confirm that they were recruited to stalk me or any situation so I can get a restraint order. But I believe a restraint order isn't even going to make this person stop. They're completely detached from what they've done. Again, it's concerning. I've had send this person. I have the certified slips here. I send him cease and desist. He was supposed to letters. He was supposed to sign them, send them back. He never did. Narcissists do not care about the authorities. They wiggle their way out of everything. So, you know, he may have overplayed his hand, you know, just so people know I'm telling the truth. Here's the cease and desist letter that I sent to this person when I was involved with women's group who were supposed to help me with healing and resources. I got a lot of paperwork on that. Private investigators that I have had to hire have, you know, lost money on this. These are private investigators, things that I've paid for. As you see, you know, one was like 1,000 something for certain things that I had done. Just different things. And also I had the same teenager, I believe, was used to walk up the steps in this home to try to steal my mail. I believe I have video proof of this, which I'm gonna try to put more proof in my next video. Videos that I have, screenshots, certain things to prove some of the things that I have been explaining here. I can't fit it all here on this video. But I was left at one point when I lived in these homes here, someone broke into the back and broke into my backyard and left notes behind. And we have that, I have that on video, this person breaking in through the gate, but we cannot see this person's face, so it's hard to prove. But they did, the person who broke in couldn't get into the car the first time, but they did the second time. The first time they broke into that yard, they left things, it's like that said, unalive yourself, kill all spics, telling me to unalive myself. Nobody's gonna believe you. I can't show some of these here because it has certain words that YouTube doesn't allow. So I do have quite a bit, just so people can see. This all started when I detached from this person, and I can slowly see how the narcissist was becoming annoyed. For example, here, this is a copy of the text where he's saying, I tried reaching you, maybe another time, wish you were up, oh well, either you're asleep or perhaps you're upset with me. Good night, stay inspired. So you can see he's saying, perhaps you're upset with me, oh well. So he's noticing that I'm detaching, and I tried to do this slowly. I guess, you know, it didn't matter the attempts I made to just peacefully tell them I don't want to talk anymore. I just want to do my own thing. I want to just not have any issues. I appreciate the friendship. I appreciate the memories in school and all that, but I just don't have time. So, and, there were times where he expressed here, and this is a text. I kind of try to block out the number here, but that's like half of his face down here, and try to block out his face as well. It says, nobody really remember me except when you sent those things. I felt left out many years now. And also where he says here, you're a great mom to her, talking about my daughter. Hopefully we can talk tomorrow. So he tells people that my daughter and I don't get along and how I'm a bad mom, but yet I have picture proof of a lot of things that he said and how he said the opposite when we were friendly back here. Also, after I met my son, who was given up for adoption, the narcissist knew that we were just getting to know each other. So at that time, what he did was cause problems between me and my son, who were trying to connect and build a bond. So my son and I missed 10 years of our relationship due to the narcissist sending videos and telling my son certain things, trying to humiliate me. Sent my son a video of my breast that he obtained, and trying to humiliate and embarrass my son in order to create such an uncomfortable situation where you don't talk to each other, or too humiliated to get back to normal. And at the time my son was younger, and I believe family as well were trying to steer my son away from me, and people telling him that I was a bad mom to my daughter, and how I this, that, or the other, and my son started treating me differently, trying to show him who I am. But if you can imagine, I didn't raise my son, so he doesn't know my heart. You can tell a person who you didn't raise many things, just like a lot of strangers, even people you've known for over 30 years can be manipulated against you. And I've learned that the hard way. People who know you well and still betray you, and it's very disheartening. But I pushed through it, and I've learned who to move forward with and who not to. Even, whether it be friendship, co-workers, family, friends, a lot of this can be redeemed, because I do understand that people are manipulated and that we're all learning, and it's a learning process. But at the same time, there are several people who in my past I do not wish to connect with again. So in my next video, I'm going to try to provide certain proof in video of certain things. Whatever I have or I can think of as I go along, and hopefully if you guys are interested, you'll tune in. Thank you for listening. It's a long video, and I wish you all well. Anybody who has questions, I'd like to be spoken to directly with honesty. You'll be surprised. And there's certain people, no matter what you do, that I do not wish to reconnect with. So thank you for listening. My love to all of those who have understood, who have actively listened, who have shown a bit of compassion here and there. Certain people who I appreciate, who smile when they feel that I am receiving even one flower, because the narcissist never wants me to receive my flowers, and he tricks and manipulates other people into not wanting me to have anything. Not an ounce of love, not a smile. Even if I post a picture of me smiling, he tells people I'm faking it, that I use apps and certain things to change my look. I don't. This person just hates to see my face, hear my voice. It's really bad, people, and I need help. So if anybody can provide more help than what I have accumulated, I greatly appreciate it. Thank you.